Hello, I'm Allison Donnelly for Cecil TV. I'm here with Jesse Colvin, who's running for Congress in the 1st District of Maryland. Jesse, you served 6 years for the U.S. Army. How will you apply those skills and lessons to serving in Congress?
Oh, that's a great question. A couple of different ways. So the first thing is you learn in the military boots on the ground. If you want to get ground truth, you got to go to the folks on the ground. So here in Cecil, for example, uh, the county really is ground zero for a lot of the issues that we're trying to address across the district. Opioids epidemic, jobs, health of the Bay, and the jobs related to the Bay. So in the last week, for example, we've had a chance to sit down with some of the mayors in the county. Everything as small as town with 463 people to a town with 15,000. And then the other thing is the military teaches you leadership. It teaches you how to be part of a team, and it teaches you how to follow and when to do both. So that's what we're trying to apply to the campaign.
So about the opioid crisis, what is your strategy for dealing with that issue, and how will you hold pharmaceutical companies accountable?
So this is interesting. So we're in Cecil. There is a suit brought by the county. So the suits are here. I think where Congress can really be helpful is Congress has the power of the pulpit and the power of the TV camera. So to hold hearings reminiscent of the tobacco hearings several decades ago. The answers are out there. There is no silver bullet, but the answers are out there. It's prevention, it's treatment, it's recovery. It's having some really tough conversations with the pharmaceutical companies, but also with our brothers and sisters in the medical community. And things like, if we're going to do treatment, we have to recognize that the Betty Ford model that worked for alcohol of 30 days just doesn't work here. So it's going to be some really tough conversations about resources. It's going to cost resources, and having them in our local neighborhoods.
You've talked about protecting the Bay. How will you find common ground with farmers on that issue?
I think farmers are the original stewards of the environment. If I came here and just talked about the sediment situation at Conowingo Dam, I'd go down to Salisbury and, Jesse, what about chicken litter? If I just talked about chicken litter, commercial fishermen would ask, what about the bunker fish population? We landed on 10 billion oysters. We want to achieve 10 billion oysters in the Bay by 2025. That will have phenomenal environmental impacts and phenomenal economic impacts. I just reject the idea that what's good for the environment and what's good for the economy are mutually exclusive. I think they're absolutely intersect together.
You have 5 other primary opponents. What sets you apart?
Well, I like to think we have a great message. We have a great campaign. We have a really good candidate. I like to think, but more than that, so in Cecil, for example, we've been endorsed and are working very closely with a fantastic group on the ground here. It's the Cecil County Progressive Caucus. These are folks who turned out over 1,000 votes for Bernie Sanders in the 2016 election, which is an accomplishment in and of itself.
Right.
So on the ground, we're just running a really smart, lean campaign. We're fortunate enough yesterday in the Baltimore Sun, there was an op-ed in support of our campaign from General Wesley Clark, who was a presidential candidate in 2004 and a former NATO commander. So we're gaining steam, we're gaining momentum. The idea here is this is a fantastic place. Our district is a fantastic place to raise a family, and there are traditions that go back generations here. We just have to give our kids a reason to stay. That's jobs of the future, like solar and cyber, and address the urgent issues of today, which is the opioids epidemic. It's protecting the 54,000 people who rely on the Affordable Care Act, and it's getting to 10 billion oysters.
So if you win the primary, how will you get Republicans in District 1 to vote for you?
Well, I'm an Army Ranger, and I served 4 combat deployments to Afghanistan, and my wife happens to be a Republican. So we're going to go to every VFW, every American Legion, every Fraternal Order of Police. My wife used to be a law enforcement officer. We're just going to have a conversation.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.